Our next guest has been a congressman from the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He is now a candidate for the United States Senate seat in 2016 against Senator Toomey. And it is always great to have a hero. He has been in the military. He knows what it's like. And it's always great to have our good friend Joe Sestak on the program with us. Congressman, Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be with you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
It is great, and we're really excited about having you on the program, and we're excited about some news that we're going to unveil tomorrow that you may get to hear us closer to where you are, Mr. Sestak. So we're excited about that too. But let me first start with where we are in this political world. And how important government and good government is. And I point this out because obviously we've been focusing a lot on what's happening with Christie in New Jersey. But I want to take it a step beyond the borders of New Jersey to the fact of how we have government and how government is run. And not this sort of crony sort of you do it for me or I'm going to stab you in the back kind of thing. You have been involved in the military. If the military was to behave like this, then we would have one of the most ineffective militaries in the world. Because, the adage is that, brothers in arms go together. And if you don't have that person's back, then, the whole thing falls apart. And I just think that also goes to regular life, and we can't have this sort of backstabbing that would happen in New Jersey. And I think in a country that needs to, rebuild itself into a first world nation, because over the last 30 years, we have seemingly taken from the poor and the middle class and given it all to the wealthy, and our structures of government, which the Republicans' whole idea is to destroy it, I think has really caused, a seismic shift in how we value what good government is. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. The number one issue facing the United States of America is economic mobility. When 1 out of every 3 Americans slipped into poverty over the past 2 years, for an average of 7 months, you know that the tide that's supposed to rise all boats has not been working. Therefore, when you get to the issue that you just brought up, that the parties seem at times more intent upon using powers for party's sake, for one's sake, rather than having a government of, by, and for the people, then no progress is made toward what we really are here to do when you're an elected official, and that is serve the people. And third, we shouldn't be listening at all. They're hearing at all about what Governor Christie is doing in order to allegedly his age do for retribution. What we want to hear is, what are we doing for the people in Newark so that those who haven't had the opportunity to achieve the American dream are getting an educational opportunity? Are we covering them with health care like we do in the military so that we don't lose, as we do in America today, $100 billion every year because of the under and uninsured, because they're sicker longer and they want to be part of the workforce, but at times with no health care, they're sicker and away from work longer. That's what we have to hear. And I think what you've seen there, what you see in Washington, where party matters over people, is exactly what we can't have if we want to restore that mobility that my father immigrated to the United States of America for, so his children could do even better than him.
It's a chance at the American dream. You're right on. We're talking with Joe Sestak here, again, candidate for the Senate in 2016 against Mr. Toomey there in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I want to take you to what is unfortunately now becoming a story once again. And I think you are really ideally set up to talk about this. And this is this stupid comparison that some in the media and obviously some in the Republican Party are trying to connect. If there's a problem with Christie and Republicans, then there has to be a problem with Democrats. It's just like there has to be one for the other. It isn't that way. And look, Democrats, as I have criticized and you have on this show, have done some bad things. There's no doubt about it. But to now say that Benghazi is just like what Chris Christie has done in New Jersey is insane. There's no comparisons there. Now, information has come out today that said that Mr. Stevens wanted less protection. That is his choice. That even if he did get more, it still is a scenario where that is not a governor or a president or a secretary of state saying, you didn't do something that I didn't like, so we're going to take something away from you. There's nothing there to compare it to what happened in New Jersey. And again, because of your background in the military, sir, I want you to make this very clear, because this is not as how some media is reporting it and how Republicans are trying to twist it. Your thoughts?
Look, Benghazi is totally different than what happened with the tunnel issue in New Jersey. I couldn't even fathom that there was a link until
it's ridiculous.
Almost seemingly trying to make it. Look, first of all, let's understand that both parties could have done better in their respective governing positions to help prevent Benghazi. Mrs. Clinton, Secretary Clinton, said it well when a few days afterwards she said, I am responsible for what happened in Benghazi. She said those words, all right? And we could have, as a nation, we could have, as an administration, ensured that despite what the ambassador might have said, that others had put in for better protection, and that should have been done. And the Accountability Review Board said that. Number two, Congress has to look itself in the mirror. Why did they cut the request for additional security members for our diplomatic missions around the world, and then all of a sudden turn their fingers and say, wait a moment, you know, you guys weren't ready out there. No, we are all in this together for the advancement of America, but we're also in this one together that we could have served those who died so much better out there. Now, what we want to have is let's expect what we inspect, and now make sure that what these reports have said, we come together and make sure that what is going to occur in the future will be that our embassies will be well protected. Those men and women overseas serve us. That's so different than what happened in New Jersey, where somebody was taking, apparently, retribution out on someone. The worst statement that could have come out of that is, wow, somebody might have been harmed because of a purposeful shutdown of a road. And I think that's totally inexcusable when there isn't a man or woman that wouldn't have done all they could have done to save those people that we lost in Benghazi if they could have. Lessons learned that we should have done better, you bet there is. And now let's apply them.
I want to talk to you on a different front. This is domestic and foreign, and that is about trade deals. We have heard your friend and mine, Ed Schultz, talk on this issue. There has been a number of others that have been outspoken on this. Of course, I'm talking about the Trans-Pacific trade deal. Some Democrats, thankfully, have come out against this, but there's still some, including the president, who have not been ready to sort of say we got to change things drastically here. Now, your state of Pennsylvania and states around it, places like Ohio and Michigan, have really been hard hit by what was NAFTA in the 1990s and then later followed by GATT and other agreements. And I think that we are in a time right now where, as you say, that jobs are so much what is needed that we're trying to do, and the president, to his credit, was out in North Carolina yesterday trying to figure out how to innovate there. And I think that, you know, his plan is a good one. But at the same time, you can't do some good things and then let something like a trade deal, which eventually takes these jobs and ends up in Southeast Asia or in Guatemala or someplace like that. Your thoughts here, because this to me hits right at home in central Pennsylvania and right at home in Ohio and so forth, and our listeners today listening outside of Cleveland at WABQ. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, first of all, your history is spot on here in Pennsylvania. The vast majority of people lost their job as a consequence of NAFTA. When they did finally get a job later on, it was at a lower wage job because most of them were individuals in manufacturing who were very skilled in what they did, but they had a high school education. And while they'd gotten a great job in the manufacturing days, trying to get another job after they lost that in the internet age meant they took a lower wage job. Number two, this issue in the Western Pacific, Jeff, is really can be summed up in one word: China. First off, China is all over the Western Pacific, as well as the world. In fact, as you might have read the other day in the newspaper, it now is imposing Chinese fishing rules in the southern China Sea, international waters, that it claims as inland waters, and will tell who from Vietnam or Philippines can fish where and when. In short, China not only economically is all over there, but it is beginning to impose for its own economic rights rules of the road established by China. That means, number three, that I believe, Jeff, we do, under wise aegis, wise approach, like was not done in NAFTA, try to ensure that the United States is present overseas in that Western Pacific, where we have countries like Vietnam, we have countries such as the Philippines or Korea or Japan want our presence because they're concerned about this swaggering bullyism of China. We have to be there, as the president has done, not just with our Navy, where he switched 60% of our Navy over the past couple of years to the Pacific, but also with our economic presence.
That's right.
So when we do a trade deal, if we do a trade deal, it's important to keep in mind, if we don't ensure that our economic engagement is there, China's will. But we have to do it differently, where it's not where the corporation's top line benefit from trade, it's where jobs benefit. And we are in a unique position right now, Jeff. I've talked to several businessmen, one that I actually went to high school with, who is closing 3 factories in China. He's putting 1 in Bangladesh, 1 in Vietnam, and 1 back in the United States because wages are raising in China. And that means that it's more expensive. This is an opportunity for us, as long as the trade agreement remembers what you brought at the beginning of this conversation to a point about. It's about our economic mobility. It is about our jobs. It is about our jobs with raising wages. And if we can get a trade deal that does that, and particularly by keeping China from being the economic bully out there, then I think that's something we need to pursue, if we can achieve it that way.
Well, I think you're spot on, Congressman, as you always have been on this issue. And I think that, it is important to understand that, we know neither you nor I or many of the other Democrats who have come out in recent days against this understand that we're not going to become an isolationist country. No one is talking about that. But what we can't do is lose jobs like we have been doing over the last 25 years. And it is really important that our elected officials from president on down understand this, in my view. Your thoughts, sir, final.
Without a question. I'm going to be slightly off on this fact, but I have been teaching at Carnegie Mellon, Penn State, Dickinson College, Army War College. I've been teaching at Cheney. And one of the teaching a course called Restore the American Dream, and it's a research course, and one of them was our trade and how to do it better. But I know this: for every $1 billion of additional trade we get, we may be talking as much as 10,000 jobs. I may be off on that figure because I don't have the paper right in front of me, but I'm telling you that if we trade correctly to where we become the manufacturer of the world, that bodes for jobs. So when we do treaties today, it's not just about lowering barriers. It is of other nations. It is about ensuring that the quality workmanship that so much is resident in America produces jobs for us, that where wages increase. You got to have it both, jobs and wages increasing, and that should be the test of every policy that we go forward with. And frankly, you're going to find that in the Affordable Care Act. Your seat. One last issue here is 25% of all the companies that applied to be on the health insurance exchange are new health insurance companies, young entrepreneurs, youth that are beginning to create jobs for others with increasing wages. That's what policies need to be aided toward, restoring the dream.
You're so right. We need to restore that dream. And Joe Sestak, wish you nothing but the best in your candidacy for Senate. And we'll look forward to talking to you a lot more.
Great to be with you, Jeff.
Pennsylvania. Thank you, Congressman. All the best. This is the Jeff Santos Show. We'll be right back.